When board games give us more, we're rolling with more. Hi, I'm Will, and with me as always is the crusader of all things cute,
Sarah.
And today we're doing a review of My Little Pony Adventures in Equestria Deck-Building Game, True Talents Expansion. Sarah, tell us a bit about this game.
All right. So True Talents adds 4 new starting characters, more of every card type, and introduces super allies and the refashion rule. All right, so let's start going over some of these things. Super allies. They're a bit expensive.
Yes, they cost 7 of the friendship horseshoes.
It's help. It's called help.
Help.
And they look like a horseshoe, yes.
Yes. Whenever you're building your deck, they have instructions as to use this many, this many allies, this many actions,
right.
These many artifacts.
Right.
The super allies count as artifacts.
Right. So you'd shuffle artifacts and super allies together and get,
6, I believe.
I think it's just 6. So
yes.
Yes. The neat thing that they do is remove a cloud when you play them, and then they have other effects that are pretty strong.
They're rather specific, though.
They are rather specific, though. But
yes.
That is what they do. All right. The next thing is the refashion rule, where you're going to be paying info, which is the books, to remove cards from the row and draw new ones.
Now, the way that works is you can spend 1, 2, or 3 books to do this. Now, you will discard that many cards from the row, any ones you choose. Then you will redraw cards -1.
Yes.
So if you only spend 1 book, you're just removing 1 card. What this does is, instead of losing the card at the end, because maybe you didn't buy it, you actually can choose which one goes away so that you can actually keep that card at the end.
It allows you more manipulation over the row, as well as hopefully getting you more options if, like, it's just not giving you a type of card you want, or everything is too expensive, or they cost the things you don't have. It allows you more options and manipulation there.
Yeah, it also keeps the row from going stale, which is very handy. But it also might bring the end of the game closer.
Yes, at higher player counts, you definitely have to be very careful using this option because if you run out the deck, you do lose.
Oh, the other rule is that if you're playing with setbacks, those are the 1 cards you can't discard.
Right, you can't just get rid of them using this.
Yes.
All right. There are new locations, but what's really interesting is there's a new starting location, the Crystal Empire Square. And that's really nice to have a new option for the starting location.
Yeah, so you don't always just have to be Ponyville.
Right. And otherwise, there's a higher focus on Discover and making your deck and everybody's deck more themed around a certain keyword or certain icons. And this does introduce classmates because, of course, you got the Cutie Mark Crusaders, so you have more of them at that level. Not even though Crusaders existed in the, I believe, the base game. There's the new aspect of classmates.
Yeah, speaking of which, those are the playable characters, is the 3 Cutie Crusaders, as well as the
Zecora?
Zecora, the zebra lady.
Yeah. So that's really fun. Otherwise, there's just more variety in all the different action cards and the allies, and just a lot more manipulation. I saw more and new ways to try to get rid of cards out of your deck. Granted, we found that in the games we were playing, it didn't quite work out for us, but they're there. And a lot of that just feels like the Familiar Faces expansion.
Yes.
Okay, so for how this changes the 2-player experience.
Well, it definitely gives you more content.
Yes. And I think the main thing that really changed for us was the refashion rule.
Yeah.
It should have been in the base game, because that was our probably biggest complaint about playing the game from the start, is in a 2-player game, you'll never run through that deck.
Yeah.
That will not be how your game ends at a 2-player count.
Clouds would come over the city,
Right.
Ponyville, long before any deck runs out.
And while I appreciated that the most right-hand card does go away so that there at least is movement, because of course it is a mechanism for ending the game, it still felt really stagnant, or it would get rid of the card that you wanted and everything else would be too expensive. So this type of option of, well, I have all these books and I don't know what to do with them. Well, now you know. You can talk to the person who's going to go next and say, hey, there's these cards here. Do you want any of them? Do you want me to get rid of any of them? Because I have extra books. So it's just a really, I don't know, it's a small rule, but it can be a really critical one in a 2-player experience.
Yeah. Plus, I also think it's going to be great for even higher player counts, because let's say you're playing a 4-player game and you're the last person to even buy something at the beginning of the game. Everyone bought out all the affordable cards.
Probably.
So, well, now you have an option of clearing some of the really expensive that no one's going to get to anytime soon anyway.
Yes.
And maybe clear up some room for yourself and your team.
Agreed. So if you have played the base game and don't have either of the expansions, you can just use the rule now with the base game without either of the expansions, because it can just be applied how you like. Okay. For accessibility, unfortunately, nothing improved. So one of the big things that we've had an issue with is the icons on the left-hand side are over the art and don't pop very well. They did a very thin stroke line or shadow or something on it, but they really probably should have done a solid banner so that it really pops off there. And there's still busy backgrounds, so you still are going to lose track of those icons and have trouble seeing them, especially at a distance. So it's still a problem.
Yes.
All right, so let's go over our review and how our opinion changed. So what aspects of this, Will, really changed your thought about the game?
Pretty much, as we stated before, the refashion.
Yeah.
The refashion is just a rule that needed to be in there from the beginning. And actually, we learned that it came in from one of our friends who got involved in the project late.
Right.
Basically, around the time this expansion was getting,
going.
It was his idea, and yeah,
it's a really good idea.
It's a really, really good idea.
So thank you very much for that idea, because it is fantastic. So we're going to be telling people who maybe are thinking about buying the base game or have it already to say, you should try this rule and just implement it, because it's great.
Yeah. Otherwise, everything else, I feel that when it comes to Familiar Faces expansion, in this expansion, a lot of them are very similar, aside from the starter tile in this one and the refashion. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to tell them apart.
Yeah, I think the only other thing that really makes a distinction for me is I don't like super allies. For me, I feel they're way too pricey. I liked what the artifacts did better. I like the fact that the artifacts stayed out. So when it comes to making up our decks as we play this more, unless Will really wants to play with the super allies, I'm leaving them out. That's just, so that would be where I kind of maybe like Familiar Faces just a little bit more in terms of the card content. Just because I'm not fond of the super allies. But I do like the other stuff, the fact that there's the Cutie Mark Crusaders and that you get the classmates and there's a higher focus on discovering. I think that part is really cool because it really enhances that feeling of working together.
Yeah, that was a big change that opened my eyes with Familiar Faces.
Right.
So seeing it continue into this one, yeah, it's a great expansion.
Yes, agreed. I liked having a new starting location, and it just comes down to this has more in it, more good stuff. If you liked what was happening already in the Familiar Faces and base game, more is generally good. I think the only downside is cards that call out for specific player ponies. Every time you add more, those just become more diluted, especially as they keep adding more characters.
Yeah, because we're up to now 12 characters.
I think so. So I know those cards are balanced, and it always comes down to how I feel about them.
Yeah.
They're balanced. They're still really good cost for what you get. If you ignore the call out for the pony, it's still good. But it feels sucky to get a card, and it's like, I can't. Will's not playing this character, so it's not all about helping myself. I'm not even helping Will with this card.
Yeah, you just want to see it trigger.
I just want to see it happen.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we see all other 10 names. Are there any in this deck that have our characters?
For me, I'm inclined, since there's so many cards now and you have to only use a small amount of them, I'm inclined to remove those cards from the random distribution, either just not use them or put in the ones when we're playing specific ponies. Say like, okay, I'll put this into the random distribution. It still may not show up, but at least then if it does, it feels like it's being fully utilized.
Yeah.
I think then very last thing is we're a little concerned about future content. The box with the insert. The insert's really nice.
Yes.
It looks like it might have room for one more expansion, maybe, and then the insert is not going to hold anything more.
Yeah, and it would be really sad to have to throw that away and just like
bag
up
everything.
Yeah.
So I'm a little unhappy, and I'm hopeful they might come up with a solution like a big box maybe eventually. I also don't really care to have my game split among multiple boxes if I could, possibly reduce them. So that's a minor kind of concern that the future we'll just find out in the future.
Yes.
So Will, who is this expansion for?
The people who already know that they like My Little Pony and want more content, because that's what this offers. If you didn't have the familiar faces, this is a perfectly decent one to...
Yeah, you could start with this, even though it's second.
Yes, even though it's the second one. Also do want to reiterate that this My Little Pony game, Adventures in Equestria Deck-Building Game, is not for... Kids.
It's not. I mean, not for young kids. I mean, it's rated 14 plus for a reason. You're managing 3 basic resources and 3 what I would call upgraded resources, plus all these icons on all these cards and all the interactions, especially when you get to the expansions. There's so much interactions going on. You really have to be able to comprehend and think critically. And if you're just learning how to read, this would be very overwhelming.
Yeah. I would say this is for the Bronies and the Pegasisters.
Yeah.
And if you know what that means, then it's probably for you. And if you don't, then yeah.
It might.
Look at the age rating on the box.
Yeah.
The 14 plus says it all.
Yes, agreed. So Will, how did your rating change?
So when I initially rated the game, base game, it was a 5. Mm-hmm. When Familiar Faces came out, I said it was a high 5.
Yeah, I know.
For this is like Familiar Faces to me, and it stays at the high 5.
Okay. Doesn't quite roll over to a 6 for you.
No, it doesn't quite roll over to 6. I mean, take all the content together.
It's almost there.
It's almost there, but then it's brought back by the fact that, well, now I have to make choices and set up a game because I can't just use everything.
Right. And for me, I rated it a 6, and I rated it a 6 with Familiar Faces, and it remains a 6. Anything I don't like about this expansion is balanced out by the aspects that I do like about this expansion. It gives me the refashion rule, it gives me new cards that I like, and it gives me cards that I don't like. But there's so many cards now, I could just choose not to play with what I don't like.
Yes.
Did I say that right? I think so.
Yes.
I did. Okay. I think that is everything.
Did we even mention that there's more hurdles and new...
Oh, I'm sorry. I did kind of mention that there's more of everything.
Yes.
So yes, there's more setbacks. There's more hurdles. So it adds everything more. So you have more variety as you keep playing the game. And getting into the theme of it, you're going to start seeing more things that occurred during the show. I don't know if they've been following seasons for seasons. I haven't paid that much attention, and I don't remember. I know it's been a while since we've seen the first couple of seasons.
There are things that I have actually forgotten. Like, for example, the Super Allies are actually based off of a comic book that Spike had in the show.
And I don't remember that. But I know we watched all the show that there is. But yeah, just goes to show we probably need to rewatch that soon.
That's a long series.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that will do it for us. And Sarah,
yes.
Is there, now that we have the base game plus 2 expansions, is there anything from the show that you would like to see in the games?
I would love to see just more of the other creatures. And they started doing that with having the classmates.
Yeah.
Because the classmates are now the non-pony.
The wyverns,
and the dragons and stuff like that. So I would love for them to have expansions that really go in and like, oh God, what were those big woolly...
yeah, the ones that like to smash everything.
Yes, I would just love a smash like keyword where you, I don't know what it would
They
do.
weren't yaks? Were they llamas?
No, they were yaks.
They were yaks?
Were they yaks? I feel like they were. We really need to rewatch
I think
this.
yeah, I think they were yaks because they were from something Yakistan.
Yakistan, yes. So I think I would love expansions that explore the different cultures of the world of, well, it's more than just the world of Equestria. Is the whole world?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, I would love to just see more of that type of thing. What about you?
I would like to see them focus in on each of the ponies' families, like Pinkie Pie's family, and see her sister and her pet Rock.
Oh gosh, yes, Pinkie Pie's sister. I love that one.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So that's what I would like to see.
Okay, there you go.
All right, and that will do it for us here at Rolling with More. And if you have any other questions or what would you like to see from Equestria, we would like to see them in the comments.
Yes, please.
And we've been Rolling with More. And remember, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with Two. That's TWO. We are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And on YouTube, please like and subscribe.
And if you have time, check out the other content Nanaman has found for you, because remember, he's rolling with you.